because I wanted to be in the fight business. Whether it was, at one point, and I've told this story a million times, but, at one point, I truly believed that I wanted to be a fighter. And then one day you realize that you're not that guy. I wasn't good enough to be a fighter. I didn't have what it took. Mentally and emotionally, I wanted it probably worse. I feel like I wanted it worse than anybody did. But then the day comes where you come to reality that you don't have it, And there was this moment in the gym, and there's this guy, he's like Peter, he's a famous guy in Boston, but I saw him in the gym one day, and he was in his 30s, and he was training, getting ready for a fight, and the guy had never had a job because all he did was box, and he was kind of a local big name, and he never made it. And one day I was in the gym, and I said, oh shit, what if that happens to me? What if I get to, and then that's the day you realize you're not that guy. Because the one thing that I don't care if you're involved in boxing or MMA, real fighters, guys who are real, who I believe were born and put on this fucking earth to fight, don't ever think shit like that. They don't care. This is what they do, and that's who they are. And they can lose 4 or 5 in a row. They're looking to get the next fight because that's who they are. And I wasn't that guy. And I realized it and, came to grips with it.
But that passion got flipped into something else, though.
Well, I had the passion for fighting in the fight business, period. This is where I had a job when I was 19 where I made really good money. I worked for the Boston Harbor Hotel. I was a bellman, carry guys' bags up to the room. And these guys the doormen were making 100 grand a year, and we were making 70, 80 grand a year. And I was 19 years old. Had full benefits and all that shit. But I would literally stand up against the marble every day in the lobby and go, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I doing this? I hate this job. It just wasn't me. It wasn't what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be in the fight business. Of course, it's one of those things you tell people. This guy, Joe Cavallero, some of you might know him. He's in the fight business today, but he was a doorman. He was the doorman there, and we were friends. And I literally walked out the door one day, and he's like, what's up? What's going on? I said, I'm fucking quitting. What? What happened? I said, nothing happened. I hate this fucking job, and I'm going to quit. What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get in the fight business. He goes, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I mean, you're going to give up this job to go, I said, I don't give a fuck. If I don't make a dime, I'm going to get in my car every day and be happy to go to work. That's what I want to do. And that's literally how it happened. I quit. I was over at Somerville Boxing Club. I was boxing there, and then I went searching for Peter.
How's Joe Cav's in the fight business?
Yeah. Thank God I don't take advice from Joe Cav. Right? He quit and got in the fight business too, years after me. But, in a nutshell, that's pretty much my life story.
When you realized you weren't a fighter, you weren't that guy, was that hard to swallow, to get over for a little bit?
For a little while I think it was, but then I came to grips. I was still in the business. I was doing what I loved to do. And, then I started training guys and cornering guys. And actually, when I went back to Las Vegas, I had this amateur kid, Jimmy LeBlanc. And I ended up bringing Jimmy from Boston out to Las Vegas with me. And we went for an Olympic run with him. He actually ended up losing to Fernando Vargas in the box offs. And, so.
He came out through the program, through the St. Patty's Day program.
Yeah, he went through the same program, this program here. But I've done, I've been talking about it a lot this week, because I usually don't talk about a lot of the boxing stuff. But, I've done pretty much everything you can do from, he and I opened a gym down in Southie. We trained kids, inner city kids. We trained fighters. We trained executives to pay the bills. I was a referee. I refereed in Vegas. I was a referee. I always abuse our referees. I was a referee. There's a guy named, maybe some of you know him, Mitch Halpern, who I personally believe was the best referee ever in boxing. He committed suicide a few years back, but this guy used to get up every day, go to work, and for his lunch break, He literally wouldn't eat lunch. What he did was he would go to Nevada Partners or any of these other boxing gyms in Las Vegas, and he would get in there during sparring and move around and look for things and while guys sparred. So I trained under him for almost a year. So every day at lunch, I would go meet him at whatever gym, and I would get into the ring during sparring, and I would move around with the guys, and Mitch would, tell me what I did wrong and what I didn't do wrong. And I reffed for a year, and I reffed some fights in Vegas. I've done it all. I've done pretty much everything you can do. I did deals for guys. I got Derek Harmon, the Roy Jones fight. I did that deal, and a lot of other shit. I've done everything that you could possibly do in the fight game, and then moved on to UFC.
Have you ever thought about opening up your own boxing gym in Vegas?
Well, I did. I used to have 3 of them.
No, right now, like,
No.
within the next couple of years?
No. Peter can do that. Leave that to Pete. Believe me, I'm so fucking busy, the last thing I need to do is anything else. But I did that too. When I went to Vegas and I didn't have a pot to piss in. I ended up opening 3 boxing gyms in Las Vegas.
What was the hardest thing when you started when you opened up those gyms? What did you learn compared to Boston and going to Vegas?
The hardest part of opening a gym is the overhead. You have to pay the bills in that place every month. Whatever your rent is, whatever your, the heat and air conditioning and all the bills that go along with opening a business. And then you're married to that place. When it needs to open in the morning, you got to be there to open it, or make sure you got somebody you can rely on to open the place, make sure people aren't stealing from you. All the things that go along with opening a gym. I actually came up with a really creative model. When I got back to Vegas, I started training guys who had money. And one thing about rich guys is they don't like to go anywhere else to work out. They want their workouts to be convenient for them. So the way that I did it was I got these guys to fund these gyms. They opened the gyms, they paid for everything, but it was my gym. I would train out of that gym and run it like it was mine, and I had no overhead. So every dime that was made in that place went to me with no overhead. So I had 3 of those places, and I did very well. And then from there I started getting into helping guys, managing guys, and I did really well at that. And Chuck and Tito came to me and wanted me to manage them after I met them, and then that's how the whole UFC thing started.
But be honest now, you can tell the truth. You would have beat Tito in a boxing match. Now we're hearing all these
It's weird
secrets. Come on.
because me and Skip Kelp were talking about it this morning. I still box every day. I boxed this morning. I box every day. Tito, you know what pisses me off the most about that thing is I brought in real guys. I brought in heavyweight guys to spar with me for that thing, and I got the living shit punched out of me for 4 months getting ready for that fight. Real guys. That guy, one of the guys that was the main guy I sparred with is fighting this weekend, and he's a ranked heavyweight. And how many of you guys ever saw that old movie from the 80s, 12 O'Clock High, where the guy's going to get his ass kicked after school, and he keeps looking at the clock and he's trying to get out of this fight? I'm not shitting you. I'm 37 years old when this thing's going down. I'm sitting in my office every day going, oh my God, it's fucking 2 o'clock. These guys are going to be here in an hour. These guys are 22, 24 years old. I'm 37. I'm doing all the UFC shit and then going down and sparring with these guys. My nose got busted up. I got the shit kicked out of me getting ready for that thing. I had to go through all the stuff with the commission, which I still to this day believe. It created a lot of bad animosity between me and the commission trying to get licensed for that fight, right? But they did it. They licensed me. I went through all the medical testing, everything, and then Tito ends up bailing on that thing the day of the weigh-ins. And believe me, I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy, and I don't talk about the thing a lot, but I was ready, in great shape, and Tito bailed on that thing because Tito knew he was going to get his ass whooped on national television.
Do you regret going through that whole process? Looking
Yes.
back at it now.
If I could go back in time, I wouldn't do it. If I knew Tito was going to bail out of the thing, I would have never done it. I'd have no surgery. I had to go have no surgery after all that stuff, getting ready for that fight. I was sparring with real guys. I brought in real pro heavyweights, young guys that were literally beating the shit out of me every day. It was not fun. But I said I would do it, and I always keep my word, and I showed up for the weigh-ins, and I was ready to go.
So do you think Bellator made a huge mistake bringing Tito in then with his record of bailing on things?
Well, the difference between the Rampage, Tito really did legitimately get hurt before the fight with Rampage. The reality is with me is Tito knew. Tito had Jenna Jameson call negotiating like 2 weeks before the fight that he wanted to switch it to no headgear because this was supposed to be an amateur fight. So we wanted to switch to no headgear. I said, fine, we'll go no headgear. Wanted to switch to 8-ounce gloves. I said, okay, we can do 8-ounce gloves. The reality is I used to beat the living shit out of Tito Ortiz back when we first bought this company and we used to box. Now, if Tito would have made this an MMA fight, I would have never said yes because Tito would murder me. He would double leg me, elbow my face off, and rip my head right off my shoulders in an MMA fight. That's not what he asked for. He asked for a boxing match with me, and I would have beat the living shit out of Tito. And he knows it, and that's why he didn't do it. So.
Is he saying the truth, Peter? I'm just joking.
I seen him early in the camp, working his way towards being ready. He got ready.
Any other questions? It means a lot to me that you all came out tonight. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy, and thanks.
Thank you.